Heather Amiji, you're the CEO of Investment Boutique LLC, which is an independent company which is involved with investment valuations, advisory, and research. These days, as we are possibly emerging from a crisis, what are you focusing on?
We're focusing most heavily on the valuations and research segment. We found in 2009 quite a lot of investors and portfolio managers wanted to avoid the bad news. So quite a lot of valuations were put on hold. People used internal approximations in terms of asset valuation adjustments. I think we're seeing in 2010 people move towards trying to get a handle on the situation and understanding sort of how far values have come down. We've also seen quite a lot of investors in the community who have perhaps had particular acquisitions or disposals not work out the way that they had wanted them to, and are now understanding the need for and value of comprehensive research before they undertake investment decisions.
It's not quite as easy as it was for a while.
Yes, no, absolutely.
What could you say about valuations? I mean, for example, in commercial property, what has changed, say, in the last 18 months?
I think there's been a flight to quality. I think that during the boom years, unfortunately, there was a real pressure that was put on banks themselves in order to lend. And valuers tended to be selected because they had higher and higher valuations. You had mortgage brokers who were remunerated based on the amount they lent as opposed to how well they protected the bank.
We saw this in some other countries, didn't we?
Yes, absolutely. So I think that the risk management has really firmed up in terms of bank management and lending, and we're seeing people who need valuations that are done in accordance with RICS under the underwriting guidelines or valuation practices, as well as the International Valuation Standards Council. And people are much more discerning in terms of scrutinizing the underlying evidence for comparable information and things of that nature. As an industry segment, we are seeing increased lending in sort of the non-freehold or GCC national only sector, as opposed to the big boom historically in the foreign-owned property sector. So there's been a shift from that perspective. Quite another area of interest from a valuation perspective is in insurance or reinsurance. Because of the dramatic change in asset valuations, we've seen quite a lot of properties that are now over-insured, and you've seen quite a lot of insurance players backing out of the market. So there's a need to kind of get your properties revalued in order to make sure that you're not over-insured at this point in time.
Are you reasonably confident, I mean, that the market is sort of getting its common sense back, and that it's going to continue to be worthwhile investing here?
Yes, I mean, I think we're seeing a lot of positive developments. I think the assessment in terms of understanding the true valuation of your portfolios is a positive step. I think there's much more collaboration and discussion between sort of the public and private sector, which is a good thing. I think everybody recognizes the increased need for transparency, and that will only come with collaboration between the private and public sectors. And that's required in order to bring in international investors and restore confidence in the market. So I think that there are a lot of positive developments happening in the domestic property sector, but it will take time to implement such significant changes.
By the end of this year, 2010, will the situation be significantly different?
It depends sort of in what property sector you're talking about, and also in terms of what geographic location you're speaking of. There are very different opportunities if you're talking about Northern Africa versus Saudi versus even Dubai and Abu Dhabi in the UAE. I think if you're talking domestically here in the UAE, We expect this workout process, this understanding or sizing of the problems and sort of identifying a road to recovery and tangible solutions is going to happen throughout 2010. And we expect more green shoots of confidence to come in 2011. Yes, I think, by the end of 2010, sort of beginning of 2011, you'll start to see greater confidence in the commercial sector, which will obviously help in terms of residential and retail, things of that nature.